Hey, my name's Michael and I wanted to tell you about this crazy story that happened at our family dinner. To be honest, it still isn't clear if it was a good thing or a bad thing. So, here's the deal. Friday night, me and my wife Jessica were at the table with her mom Linda. It was all normal, chicken soup, salad, the usual small talk. You know, how's work, and you've lost some weight, and all that family stuff. Then all of a sudden, Linda started talking about her younger days. She said she and her late husband used to go to amateur races, and they cooked their own cars and had a blast. I was totally surprised. I thought Linda was just a businesswoman who talked about car parts, but turns out she had some crazy stories. And the best part was yet to come. Linda said with a sigh that although they didn't win first place, they had a lot of fun. It really moved me. There was so much passion in her voice, and a never-ending thirst for speed in her eyes. Those Fast and Furious movies are incomparable when it comes to their intensity. And then, I just got swept away. I don't know what got into me, but apparently the spark in her eyes was catching. Linda, I said, why don't we take a trip back to the racetrack? For old time's sake, I'm sure you still got it in you. She almost choked down her drink, but to my surprise, Jessica was on board. Apparently, she understood better than I did how much her mom wanted this. We spent the whole night talking about the details, where to find parts, how to get the car ready, where to go for our first run. Eventually, she suddenly turned to me with a hesitant smile and asked, Michael, do you want to help me out? With the nuts and bolts in the garage. It'll be easier with two heads. I almost choked on my chicken leg in shock. So what's next? Am I and my mother-in-law going to be racing partners? Man, what a crazy world we live in. But my excitement was already bubbling over. After all, what have I got to lose? I'd chat with my wife's mom, get covered in engine oil, but it'd be an adventure, full of emotions. Plus, it'll make my wife happy. Sure, Linda, I replied cheerfully. I'd love to help you get back into racing. When do we start? The next morning, I was standing in front of Linda's garage, shuffling my feet in the cold. I wasn't exactly scared, but there was something uncomfortable about being alone with my Anil. And if I said the wrong thing or messed up, I'd be a total loser forever. But then the door creaked open, and there was Linda, and my jaw almost hit the ground. She wasn't in her usual business suit. She was wearing a ratty denim jumpsuit covered in engine oil, with her hair in a messy ponytail, and not a speck of makeup. Instead, there was this weird, almost girly energy about her. Morning, Michael, she said cheerily, flashing me a big smile. Preparing to dive into the world of car mechanics. I gulped nervously and gave a nod. Man, who was this woman, and what had happened to my stern mother-in-law? Was garage romance really so powerful? But there was no going back. Linda grabbed my arm and dragged me inside, talking the whole way. Oh, Michael, you have no idea what I'm about to show you. It's a treasure, a relic, the dream of my life, she said, flying up to a massive structure covered in tarp, and in one swift motion, ripped off the blanket. My breath hitched in my throat. There stood the legendary, predatory 1969 Chevy Camaro SS, sparkling in polished metal. The car every car enthusiast dreams about. Man, I wouldn't mind riding in that beast myself. Wow, I managed to say, staring at the beauty. Linda, this is amazing. My MIL chuckled happily, running her hand over the shiny hood of the car. You know what, you're right. We put so much work and time into this car. It's so annoying when she trailed off and looked away. I realized then how important the car was to her and how painful the memories were of her dream that didn't come true and her husband that wasn't there anymore. I wanted to comfort her, but I knew it wouldn't be appropriate. Michael, you're getting a bit carried away here, I thought to myself. This is her mother-in-law. The last thing she needs is for you to get all sentimental about cars. Okay, I said brightly, clearing my throat. Where do we start? This little girl is going to show us what she can do. Linda's eyes lit up. We got a lot of work ahead of us. First, we need to check the engine and then work on the suspension. She looked at me with a smile. Are you ready to help an old lady rekindle some of her skills? I nodded, rolling up my sleeves uncertainly. Well, you know what? Let's do it. I mean, what's the worst that can happen? I might get a little dirty or scratched, but it'll be an experience, right? What an adventure. Come on, Linda. Show me what we're working with here, and let's go for it. Let's turn this baby into a real race car. The next few weeks went by in a flash. We spent days and nights in the garage tinkering with the engine, swapping parts, and arguing about whether disc brakes are better than drum brakes. I forgot all about how boring my mother-in-law used to be. In front of me now was a new person, passionate, driven, alive. It was both scary and exciting. I didn't think I could ever get so involved in someone else's idea, feel such excitement, such anticipation for success. Every day, our conversations got more personal. We talked about more than just racing and engines. We shared memories, dreams, and deepest thoughts. Linda told me about her late husband and how crazy she loved him. I talked about my doubts about being afraid of not living up to other people's expectations. And with every conversation, something new and delicate grew between us. Some kind of crazy attraction that made my heart race and my palms sweat. It was especially intense when one day I tried on her racing helmet and accidentally touched her hair. It felt like an electric jolt. I froze, scared to breathe. She must have felt it too because she looked up at me with confusion in her eyes and nervously licked her lips. A silence hung in the air that made my teeth chatter. And then suddenly, she pulled away and said with a fake smile, "Well, Michael, looks like we're ready to go. All that's left is, all right, ready to put our baby to the test." I swallowed that thick saliva and gave a nod. What the heck is up with me? When did I get time for a romantic mood during work? I need to get myself together and forget about all that nonsense. After all, Linda's old enough to be my mom, even if she is an attractive one. I have to admit it. Okay, Michael, cut it out. You're married, so what's with all the mushy thoughts? Get your act together, buddy. So what if I touched my mother-in-law's arm? She probably didn't even notice. It's just your overworked imagination running wild. I spent the rest of the day avoiding her like the plague. Avoided eye contact, backed away if she got too close. In the evening, when I got home, I took a long shower, trying to rinse off that weird, sticky tension. To be honest, it didn't really work. I was lying in bed, next to my snoring wife. I kept replaying the past few weeks in my head. What's up with me? I thought. Why am I so into Linda? It's not right, it's wrong. We have to stop it before it gets out of hand. With that thought, I drifted off into an uneasy sleep. I had this crazy dream last night about roaring engines and silver flashes as we took turns. And there was Linda so close and so desirable. When I woke up this morning, I was totally messed up and even more confused. I know it's time for me to make a decision, or else I'll go off the deep end because of all these crazy dreams. But how am I supposed to get back on track when all I do is chase after dreams in my sleep? Then the big day finally came, the day Linda and I were going to take our first test drive together. And to be honest, it was also the day I realized everything was falling apart. Everything went wrong that morning. First, I spilled half a can of coffee on myself as I tried to calm my pre-drive jitters. Then, I couldn't find my keys and ended up arriving half an hour late. When I finally made it to the agreed spot, Linda was already there waiting for me. She was standing next to her shiny Camaro, tapping her foot on the pavement impatiently. When she saw me, she gave me a frown and said sarcastically, "About time, Sleeping Beauty. I thought you got lost or were afraid I'd crush you." I let out a snort, trying to ignore my racing heart. "Dream on, Linda. I just wanted to give you a head start, because of your age and everything." My Nile narrowed her eyes at me and gave me a mocking look. "Don't underestimate me, boy. Today, I'm gonna kick your butt all the way to Kingdom Come. Get ready for a humiliating loss." With that, she hopped into her car and slammed the door on my face. I stood there with my mouth open at her audacity. Well, fine, let's see who's laughing then. Hold tight, Linda. The next 30 minutes were a non-stop adrenaline rush for me. The roaring engines, squealing tires, wind whipping my face. It was more intoxicating than a shot of whiskey. Linda and I were racing down the empty highway, passing each other at every turn and giving each other defiant looks. It was a crazy dance with no rules, and man, I loved it. When we finally pulled over, panting and sweaty, I felt totally exhausted but also incredibly alive. All my worries and doubts from the past few days just melted away in that wild, primal joy. Linda got out of the car, smiling like $1,000,000, and walked over to me, slapping me on the back. Not bad for a beginner, Michael. You're doing pretty well. Who knows, maybe you'll be a real racer someday. Her touch hit me like a lightning bolt. I stood there, frozen, afraid to move. Then, slowly, I looked up and met her eyes. They were wild with fire. In that moment, it all made sense. Forget the fears, forget the rules. I wanted this woman more than anything else. I don't remember what happened after that. All I remember is the heat of her kiss and the pounding of her heart against mine. It was like an explosion, like an engine revving, like a wave crashing over us. A passion so strong it made my eyes go dark and my legs weak. We came to, half-dressed and sweaty, in the back seat of a car, tangled up in each other. "Damn it, Michael," she breathed, resting her face on my shoulder. "What have we done? This is wrong." I buried my face in her hair and breathed in her familiar scent. Everything inside me was singing with euphoria, intoxicated by the feeling of being with her. "I don't care, get it?" I whispered. "I don't give a damn about rules and what's right. I just want to be here with you right now, and we'll see what happens." She took a sharp breath, then another, and suddenly she laughed softly, almost giddily. "Oh, Michael, you're so shameless. Well, if that's what you want. But let's keep this between us, okay?" I nodded, my heart racing. We had a secret now, a forbidden one, warming like a shot of brandy on a cold day. And I knew it was just the start of something incredible. The next few days were a dream for me. I felt like I was flying, not feeling tired or worried about anything. Even Jessica gave me a suspicious look at my ridiculously happy face, but I didn't care. I was living in the moment, enjoying my forbidden bliss, and not thinking about the future. Linda and I were still working on the car, but things had changed. Every touch seemed to have some hidden meaning, and every look promised something more. It was like we were living in our own little world where there was no guilt or worry about being found out. I secretly started planning a surprise for Linda. Without telling her, I entered her at a local amateur race. I wanted to surprise her and make her happy. After all, she'd been dreaming about this for a long time. It was time to make that dream come true. Then the day of the race arrived. Linda walked into the garage like usual, totally unaware. When she saw me all gussied up, she raised her eyebrows in surprise. "Michael, what's got you grinning like that? Did you strike gold or hit the jackpot?" I gave her a conspiratorial wink and waved the race pass under her nose. "Better than that, Linda, today's your day. You're going to crush it on the track. You're the best and everyone's going to know it." Linda's eyes went wide with surprise. She grabbed the race pass and stared at it like she couldn't believe it. "Wait, are you serious? You signed me up for a race? How did you even? Why?" I shrugged, feeling my cheeks flush. "I just thought you deserved it. You've wanted this for so long and worked hard for it. After all the training, it'd be a shame not to give it a shot, right?" Linda stayed quiet, still clutching that race pass. Her face was a mix of surprise, fear, gratitude, and excitement. Then, all of a sudden, she jumped up and gave me a tight hug. "Thanks, Mike. Seriously, thanks. I don't even know what to say. That's the best present I've ever gotten." She gave me a hug that made me feel dizzy. Slowly pulling away, I looked into her eyes. "So, are you ready to beat the crap out of those youngsters? Let's show them what's what." Linda laughed hard. That familiar mischievous glint came back in her eyes. Yeah, old Linda's got a few tricks up her sleeve. "Come on, let's go." We headed to the car, filled with determination and excitement. There was more than just a race to come. We entered the track like we were on a battlefield, Linda shining like a Hollywood star on the red carpet, nervous but great. When the race started, it was a sight to behold. She raced like a madwoman, expertly taking turns and leaving her rivals in the dust. I was cheering and whistling from the stands, my voice red with excitement. When she crossed the finish line first, my heart swelled with pride. She had done it, after all those years, all those trials, realizing her lifelong dream that she had devoted half her life to. Looking at her beaming on the podium, it hit me that this was a victory for all of us. Not just over our rivals, but also over time and circumstances, and our own doubts. We had come this far together and were reaping the rewards together. Who knows what's going to happen next? Our story just kind of ended up with an open ending, you know? I still need to talk to my wife and sort out my own feelings, but I don't regret a thing. Those days with Linda really changed me. They made me see life and relationships differently. And even though I don't know what's next, I'm grateful for this unexpected turn of events. I'm thankful for meeting such an amazing woman and for the unforgettable emotions she gave me. She made me feel alive and young and carefree. I'll always remember those times with her as some of the best parts of my life. Thanks, Linda. You've really opened up some stuff for me. You showed me that it's never too late to chase your dreams and take risks. No matter where life takes us, I'll always remember that moment when we both won. Nothing can ever take away that sweet feeling, because on that track, we both found our freedom to be ourselves, follow our hearts, and just enjoy every moment. That's how the story ended. Leave your opinion in the comments about this story. We will be interested to know what you think. Also, don't forget to give us a like and subscribe to our channel. That way you won't miss new exciting stories. Good luck to you.